Mr. Deputy Speaker, I stand in support of the bill which seeks to raise the governance standards of our cooperative societies in Singapore. It has been 10 years since the Cooperative Societies Act was last amended, and it is timely that the Ministry reviews the laws governing the co-ops and take a harder stance against individuals who seek to exploit co-ops for their own gains. In a recently publicized case, 2 employees of one of Singapore's oldest co-ops had systematically abused their position of trust over a period of 5 years by reaching into the co-op's coffers to feed their extravagant lifestyle, defrauding the co-op of more than $5 million of the members' savings. We need to ensure that such fraud cases are snuffed out, and I support the provisions in the bill, which will provide the registrar with enhanced regulatory powers to protect the interests of co-op members. But what happens if a co-op faces distress not due to fraud, but as a result of its members' negligence? Can the Ministry elaborate more on the requisite training and qualification requirements that will be made mandatory for key committee members or those who will manage the large sums of monies, particularly in a credit co-op? I'd like to propose for the Ministry to consider setting up a structured proficiency framework to articulate the standards for co-op members managing large amounts of money, large amounts of funds. This will ensure that they have the necessary proficiency to handle members' money with sufficient care and reduce the risk of co-ops facing distress due to negligence or a lack of proper training, as it would fit with the bill's intent to increase competencies of key committee members and the overall corporate governance structure of co-ops. Yearly training under the structured proficiency framework should also be made mandatory for key office holders. As such, I feel that Section 60 of the bill, which seeks to lower the minimum qualification age for the Committee of Management from 21 years old to 18 years old, appears to run contrary to the intent of the bill to tighten corporate governance and improve competencies. I note that the SMS had earlier explained that this was to facilitate the participation of tertiary students. But what is the current proportion of members in the co-ops committees of management that are aged 25 years old and below? Will a younger person with lesser experience have the right aptitude and the proper knowledge to adequately manage the co-ops and large amounts of members' monies? On the point about tightening governance, I would like to ask the Ministry to consider introducing an annual ranking of sorts or grading of the credit co-ops. Perhaps this can be based on the annual reports which credit co-ops have to submit on an annual basis. Grading the co-ops based on timeliness and completeness of the annual reports, as well as on audits conducted by the Ministry, would certainly be in the interest of their members. I'm certain that this would also motivate the credit co-ops executives and managers to be more accountable to their members. Still on the matter of credit co-ops, I'd like to ask if they are still viable and sustainable in this day and age. Credit co-ops were first introduced in Singapore in the mid-1920s, at a time when money lending was booming. There were no financial institutions or banks for wage earners back then who were unable to find financial relief in their times of need and struggling to make ends meet. But times have changed significantly since then. Singapore is now a regional financial hub with world-class financial institutions, and different money lending options are readily available. I'd like to ask the Ministry if the membership of credit co-ops in Singapore has been growing or shrinking. Are Singapore's credit co-op membership trends similar to the membership statistics recorded by the World Council of Credit Unions? If credit co-ops are indeed losing their relevance today, I would urge the Ministry to review the viability and sustainability of credit co-ops in Singapore. That said, the future state of co-ops in Singapore could be social co-ops, those which focus on providing social services for specific groups within our population, such as the disadvantaged. We have some good examples of social co-ops locally, such as the Running Hour Cooperative Limited, which was cited by the SMS earlier. In Italy, where there are various forms of social co-ops, innovative approaches have been used to tackle existing societal needs. One example is Flori di Zucca, a social farm which helps to rehabilitate individuals with mental health issues by providing them with a safe working environment on a farm in order to reintegrate them back into society. While in Belgium, there is a cooperative of freelancer artists who shares better working conditions and also provide access to workplace protection as a group. So such social co-ops can augment the state's efforts, and we can take a leaf from the experiences of these other countries. So are there any plans by the ministry to encourage the growth of such social co-ops in Singapore? With that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support the bill.